Yes, I do remember going to a sort of a classroom style environment, um, and particularly mostly with, well, I think some of your listeners will probably have had experience of this, the giant spiders.
Hmm.
You come across this before? So yeah, for me it was mostly with them, and I remember on one occasion I didn't hear or feel the spider coming up behind, and I remember his sort of arm coming over to give me a book. It was because the classrooms were very sparse, but they would have specific books there that they would, you know, want you to read, and mostly to do with sort of ET languages and things. And I just remember being, as a child, being really startled because I suddenly had this sort of spider arm come over, and didn't realise he was behind me. So yeah, I do remember bits and pieces about that. And again, for me, it didn't feel abnormal. So my reptilian family came to visit me, and they took me off. We went to an underground cave, and they said, okay, you've asked us a specific question, and we understand why, you know, and we are sorry that you are having all these problems with the military and the secret societies, and okay, we are ready to give you that answer now, and we feel that you're ready. So I thought, okay. So there was 5 of them. They stood around me in a circle and put their hands on my body. And with their energy, they assisted me in changing into my reptilian form. And I thought, well, if that's not confirmation, I don't know what is. Now, at that moment, I was ecstatically happy. For the first time in my life, I felt complete, is about the best way I can describe it. And, you know, for me, it was really just nice to spend time with them because they were family. But it was nice to be able to spend time with them in my other form. Yeah, that was a really odd one. So, I mean, again, at this time, everything was going on with the military, and, you know, my phone was tapped. I was being followed in the car at certain times. The Chinook helicopters were almost a daily occurrence going over where I lived. And then having the abductions with the military as well as the ETs. So there was a lot going on at this time. You know, I was feeling at that point, particularly with the hybrid children, I mean, obviously for anyone who is a parent, you know, when you have a child, you expect to have time with that child and enjoy everything, you know, bath time, reading bedtime stories, taking them to school. You know, you want to have that process. You don't want to miss a moment. So for me, going through, I mean, not only because they were all achieved via rape, so first and foremost, when something like that happens and you're not consenting to it, that's quite something to deal with. And then to realise you are pregnant and you're running the risk of obviously them being taken because that's the reason why you were raped. So dealing with not having the children was very difficult, and then not having any access. You know, you can't just say, you know, ring up and say, oh, you know, can I see my children now? So with the secret society, that came about when kind of most of the negative stuff were happening with the military, and I was doing my best to sort of fight the military, if you like, in the best possible way. So, you know, when they did used to come and visit me and try to drug me, I would try to fight back. I was doing anything and everything at that point to stop them, because I thought, I do not want this to continue. And plus, I didn't want any more children being created, not having me as a mother, and being treated in whatever way they are being treated. So with the experience with the secret society, I don't remember them coming into my home. Literally the first thing I remember He's waking up in a strange room. And I thought, oh, okay, here we go again. And stone walls, there was a table and 2 chairs, and it was a circular room. So instantly I thought, right, this is a bit different to what I've had before. You know, this didn't feel military. So walked around the room, tried the door, it was locked, sat down on one of the chairs, and a man came in, quite tall, in a black robe with a hood. And he had the hood up, so he obviously didn't want me to see his face. I thought, okay. And he sat down and he started talking. And he said, oh, well, we are offering you the chance to join us. And I said, well, firstly, who are you? What are you? What am I joining? And he said, oh, don't worry about that. Do you agree? And I said, well, how on earth can you expect me? You've abducted me. I've woken up in this room. I have no idea who you are or what you're to do with. You just want me to agree to join you. For what purpose? So anyway, this went on for a while, and he was getting more and more angry. And I said, no, I don't agree. How can I agree to something that you're not talking to me about? So he went out of the room, left the door open, so I followed him. Quite a large room, sort of half moon shape. Windows on one side, wooden chairs. He went and sat in one of the wooden chairs. Everyone in the room had black robes on. So I thought, oh, okay, this is going to be interesting. So their meeting was, it seemed, about to start. So I just stood there as an observer. And so he was talking away to the rest of the people. And then he ordered someone to be brought into the room. And there was this very, very tall being, black and red skin, horns on the top of his head. I suppose a little bit like the one from Star Wars.
Darth Maul.
That's the one. Sort of a little bit like that. And so this man said, was trying to basically do a deal with this being, saying, well, look, we want you to do these things for us, and in exchange, let's discuss what you want instead. So there was this deal going on. I thought, this is bizarre.
You mean they're trying to work out a deal with this being, or with you?
Yes, with the being. So there was things that they wanted from the being, and so he said, okay, right, this is what we want. So what do you want in exchange? So they struck a deal. So the other being went off, and I thought, this is just weird. And I tried to see anyone's faces, but with the black hoods up, you couldn't see anything. I mean, if anything, you could see the end of their nose and maybe a little bit of their sort of chin, but that was it. So they started leaving the room, and there was this sort of big arched doorway, and this reptilian come walking into the room. And I stood there, and I was so shocked, because I knew it was my son. And this was the first rape that happened. And I just instinctively knew. Now, this is the first time I had met him, because he had been kept away from me up until this point. And I mean, obviously, being a mother, I was so happy to see him. And so we went off into a little side room and just spent time talking. And, obviously I had so many questions, and, he kept saying, I'm not allowed to tell you. I can't answer that. I can't answer that. And I was getting so frustrated, because I thought, how dare this society? I mean, firstly, they've taken my son away. I'm getting a little bit of time with my son, and yet we can't talk about things. And I was just so angry. So, but it was nice to have some time with him, of course. So I was then taken from that room, taken to another room that again was circular. Again, people in black robes standing around in a circle, and the being was there again, this black and red being. And I knew something was wrong. I knew something was very, very wrong at this point. Just because of people being in the room and the way they were standing, it all looked very sort of ritualistic. And I thought something's about to happen here. So anyway, I went into the room. The main chap who had spoken to me earlier about joining, basically the intention that they had for me was breeding. That's why they wanted me to join. And I thought to myself, there's got to have been contact between the military and this secret society, because the military had already been using me for breeding against my will. So I thought there's got to be a connection here. Someone's got to have spoken to someone. So anyway, I was made to lay on the floor, and I knew it was going to be a rape scenario again. I knew it. So it was. So that's one of the reasons why the black and red being was there. So I thought, okay,
was it the black and red? Interject for a second. Was it the black and red being that raped you, or was it one of the that were in the robes?
It was the black and red being. Okay. None of the people in the robes did anything to me in that respect. So I thought to myself, right, this is taking a whole other avenue here. You know, the military side is one thing, but now we've gone off into something completely different. And also what concerned me was that someone in the military had obviously spoken to someone in this secret society. And I thought, my God, where does this end, really? Because as you know, there's lots of secret societies out there. And then there's lots of fractions of the military, you know, UK, US, whatever. So I thought, I'm getting deeper into this, even though I don't want to. So yeah, so that was a difficult experience, because one, seeing my son, but it's that fear of, am I ever going to see him again? And secondly, that I'm now being forced to get involved with another sort of organisation, if you like, and not knowing where that was going to lead. So it's been a very interesting journey.
Yes. Just to interject for a second, when you were impregnated, approximately how many hybrid children were taken from you?
6 that I know of. And the reason why I say that I know of is because it's not impossible for them, obviously, to firstly abduct you, and you won't remember, either because they will just drug you for the whole experience, or if you do wake up at any point, obviously, as a lot of your listeners will know, there are ways that you can be made to forget.
Yeah.
So I'm saying 6 because 6 I definitely remember. I mean, I do remember on one occasion when I was taken to the underground military base, I remember waking up, laying on an operating table, and there was a nurse next to me. And I said to her, oh, you know, why am I here? What's going on? And she said, I'm not allowed to tell you. And I said, well, please, look, you know, can you just tell me what's going on? What can I expect? And she said, no, I'm on strict orders. I'm not allowed to talk to you. So I sort of kept pleading with her, if you like, because at that point I knew that I was pregnant. So that was my fear, is that was the reason why I was there, but I wanted some sort of confirmation. And she got very, very frightened. She said, oh, all I can say is they're going to take something. So that told me everything I needed to know, basically. I do remember a guy coming into the room, you know, with one of those sort of white jackets on and the surgical masks. And then they drugged me with something, so I blacked out for a time. when I came back round, he was holding my baby. And then he suddenly realised I was awake, and he quickly turned and left the room. So definitely I remember 6 occasions. But as I say, there may be more children, and I don't remember because they don't want me to remember.
Now, when the babies were extracted from you, did they appear more reptilian at the time, or was it kind of a combination between human and reptilian?
Okay. So the first child I had, which is one of my sons, was a reptilian. And then the black and red being was to do with the secret society. To my knowledge, I've never met that child. The 3 children on the underground military base, I've got a little boy and 2 girls. Now the 2 girls are very tall, very slender, black slanted eyes, and they're very, I have to say, of all the children, the 2 girls are in a sense the ones I'm least worried about, because they're not very emotional. Times when I've been with them, they're not bothered. Okay, yes, they know I'm their mother, but they're not bothered about having a hug or playing with toys or sitting on your lap or anything like that. They're very self-sufficient and quite emotionless. The little boy is very different. You know, to look at him, you would just think he's the normal human. And he's very much, you know, he likes his toys and he likes hugs and kisses and things like that. But you see, it's interesting because with each of the rapes, it's been a different ET species.
Mm.
So they're obviously, you know, they're experimenting and seeing, oh, you know, what can we create here? What's a good mix? But then they've been doing that for a very, very long time anyway. So that's nothing new.